I just want to know, because your first job was Enterprise before you went to Warner.
Yeah, that was my first job out of college.
Without a resume, how did you make that contact?
Well, I did have a resume when I was in college that I made that I used to get the job at Enterprise.
Okay.
And then while I was in college, I interned for an independent record label out of Atlanta called B&B Recordings. That's where they talked about Little John, Lil Scrappy, Trillville, Crime Mob, E40. I worked with all those artists at that time. And so the relationship through B&B Recordings is how I got connected with Warner, because B&B had a distribution deal through Warner at the time.
Gotcha.
So did you were at Enterprise and you were kind of doing stuff on the side, or how did you connect that?
I was interning while I was already in college. So I started interning. A friend of mine, he became the head of marketing and promotion for B&B Recordings. So he would take Lil John, Lil Scrappy, Trillville on the road and break their records throughout what we call the Chitlin circuit, like around the Southeast and everything like that. And this is probably like 2002, maybe 2003, something like that. So by building the relationship with him, I'm sorry, what was I?
Well, if you're working at Enterprise, like where did you get that
that's
job?
right, the Enterprise part. So working with him, I was still in college. When I finished college, I tried to get a job with them, and they didn't have anything available. So I had to pay bills. So that's why I went and got the job with Enterprise. That was really just to pay rent until I could find a job in the industry, because I knew what I wanted to do. Like, there's no other options.
Okay, so and then you quit Enterprise to take a job at Warner.
I did. So when I applied for the job at Enterprise, a friend of mine, when I graduated college. I had been out of college probably about, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, and a friend of mine was working for Enterprise. I didn't know that at the time, but he would come and have me work his records for him. Like at the time, we still used to press up vinyl records and CDs and take them to the club and get the DJs to play them and stuff like that. So he would bring his artist product to me because he knew I had the relationships with the DJs through Lil Jon and that crew. So he would bring his records to me and pay me to work his records. And I'm like, well, how are you getting money to pay me? You know, you always got a suit and a tie on. You're going somewhere. Like, what are you doing? And he was like, yeah, I work at Enterprise, rent a car, and they have a program, a referral program where you can get hired. If you get hired, he would get a bonus of $1,500. So he was like, if you go through the 3-interview process and I get the bonus, I'll split it with you 750. So I'm like, that's rent right there. Like, you know, just go through these interviews. I don't have to take the job. You know, I just get rent. So, you know, again, hustling, just trying to make it. And in the second interview, the guy at Enterprise was like, yeah, so, you know, we have branches all around the country. So, you know, we don't encourage it, but after 6 months, you can transfer. And that just set off a light in my head because I knew that there were more opportunities in New York and LA to get inside a major record company at the time than there were in Atlanta. So I was like, all right, I'm just I'm gonna get the job at Enterprise, save up my money for 6 months and move to LA. So that's what I did. I transferred with Enterprise into LA. And after about 6 months of living in LA, working at Enterprise, I'm trying to get in the industry, but the doors are all closed. I'm just banging my head. And an opportunity presented itself. A friend of mine, same guy from BME who was the head of marketing and promotions, he reached out to me and was like, are you ready to get back in the music business? And I was like, yeah. Like, my shoes are soaked. I'm washing cars. Like, yeah, I need to get into business. And so he said that the guy had taken over the promotion department at Warner and he needed some help. So basically, he put us together, and I had to chase the guy for like 2 months. I'm sending him emails, I'm following up, I'm calling him, I'm texting him. He's not getting back to me. So finally, he catches him one night when he's in Atlanta, puts me on three-way with him, and is like, just be quiet. I'm going to get him comfortable. Then after he's comfortable, I'm going to let him know you're on the phone. So he gets him comfortable. The guy starts laughing, telling stories, and then he's like, oh, yeah, I got my man Wilt on the phone. And I just heard his heart drop. He's like, you know, because he knows he's been ducking me. So he invited me in for a meeting, and in the meeting, he was like, you know, if you really want to work here, pretty much, you know, you're going to have to prove it to me. So he's like, what I can offer you is the potential to maybe make $800 a month. I'm making $40,000 a year at Enterprise. He's like, you can maybe make $800 a month if you come in for a couple weeks and prove that you're worthy of that $800 a month. So I walked out of that meeting, and it was just, you know, a big decision to make at that time. It's like, you know, I'm making enough money to be comfortable, but I'm not doing what I want to do. So I walked out of that meeting, and I called Enterprise, and I said, I'm never coming back. And a month later, I got hired as a temp. Another couple months later, got hired as an assistant. And 13 years later, I'm the vice president of the company.